We're staying in Africa. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is scheduled to visit 4 African countries as the Biden administration tries to keep its eye on all corners of the world while being consumed by crises in Ukraine, the Middle East, and the Red Sea. The State Department announced that Mr. Blinken will go to Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Angola for talks focused on regional security, conflict prevention, democracy promotion, and trade. And joining us live from Belgium to discuss this is a global affairs analyst, Collins Oweke. He joins us virtually. Good to have you join us. Thank you, Precious, for having me. So this is one of many trips by top U.S. government officials to Africa. Even for Antony Blinken, it should be third. I think it is. What does this tell you about how nervous the U.S. is in regards to its relationships on the continent?
They are pretty nervous, Precious, and the reason they are, nervous is mainly because genuinely they care about regional peace in Africa, not because they love Africa so very much, but because there is strategic interest in Africa for the United States, and so this regional peace in Africa is very, very critical to certain strategic considerations for the United States of America. And so for them, it is very, very important that, peace is promoted there. Now, we are talking of Blinken, the Secretary of State. Let's not forget that it even looks like the Deputy Secretary of State, Ms. Fee, appears to have, permanently positioned herself in Africa, attending ECOWAS meetings, AU, making, trips to Ivory Coast, to Sudan and the rest of them, Niger, wherever there is any sign of problem. That's on one part. Now, on the other part, let's not forget also that there is a very, very strong battle for influence over Africa between the United States and China. And so China is giving the United States a run for their money. And so America finds it important to play that politics of presence, which means that the more they are in Africa, the more their influence is asserted. At the heart of all of this is Africa itself. What do you want as a continent, and how do you now position yourself to take advantage of this battle going on between two powerful economies of the world? That is the challenge for Africa itself.
Interesting you mentioned Molifi, because she had said that, look, they are trying to resist notions that that this is a U.S.-China soccer match. But I also saw some sort of report or a statement from Amnesty International asking Antony Blinken to caution Nigeria on issues of human rights abuse. But that's on one end. But for us as a country, what can we get out of this visit?
Well, first and foremost, Nigeria has to understand, and it does look like there are signs that they understand, that there is room for every player who wants to be on the field in Africa. Whether that field is the economic field or the soccer field, like Ms. Fee mentioned, that remains to be seen. But you see, there is enough room. And so what Nigeria, to be more specific, needs to do under President Tinubu is indeed to identify what added advantage each of these strategic powers brings to the table. And that doesn't even exclude powers such as Turkey, who has been making overtures, Russia, and the rest of them. Now, once you do that value analysis, you now carve out your negotiating position with them. United States of America will be very, very critical in the fight against insurgents, Boko Haram and so on and so forth. I believe that Nigeria, actually taking the United States as a strategic partner in that specific field, not actually discountenancing the role of trade, because it remains the largest economy in the world. These are two aspects that can run pari passu, and Nigeria will get the best out of the relationship.
We'll see how watching out for how this visit will play out. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Always a pleasure. Collins Oweke, Global Affairs Analyst.
Thank you for having me, Precious.
And back here in Nigeria, the Minister of